Planet of the Apes, the 2001 version. That's right, we're talking apes today. We have a new movie coming out very soon, and a little behind the scenes, I was planning on doing like what we did for the Cowabunga summer. I'm going to talk about every single Apes movie. The unfortunate thing was I just got too busy. So I said we'll talk about one of them. I picked this one because I wouldn't have to worry about any other sequels or whatever. Let's just get this one out of the way because it opens up a lot of firsts for this channel. The first time we're talking Apes, and the first time we're talking Tim Burton. Two things I have very different opinions on. First off, I love Planet of the Apes. I would argue it is probably my favorite film franchise. It is my favorite franchise that has been consistently operating from the 60s, the 70s, random scattered whatevers here and there, a TV show here and there, books and comics and all that, and then the 2000s and then the modern era stuff and new stuff on the way. I love this world. I love the concepts in this world. And this is the first time we're talking Tim Burton, a director I'm indifferent to. I personally like a lot of his stuff. I personally hate a lot of his stuff. In that way, I kind of respect him. The dude, he makes stuff, and that's cool. And there's some things we agree on. Suburbia is weird. Goth girls are awesome. Sometimes we're trapped in our own headspace on what to do with our life. We can agree on all those things, and other things we don't agree on. Like what's kind of hot sometimes, or like what's going on in certain aspects of our life, or our mental state, and why we feel trapped in ourselves. But that's okay. I like him. I think he's a weird, goofy guy, and I appreciate that in any form of a director. Just a weirdo getting to do whatever he wants. I love that. He remade Planet of the Apes in 2001, before we got the Rise, Dawn, and War. This came out. And it's... Okay. Okay. This is not a good movie by any stretch of the imagination. If you straight up told me you disliked this film, I would believe you and I would support your decision. However, I personally love this film and think it's insanely good. Okay, insanely good's a stretch. I love almost every aspect of it. I think it's a really interesting, creative piece. And just watching it for this video, watching it to talk about it again, I was left with this feeling that we just don't make things like this anymore. And that really upset me because there's no way a studio today would give you this big of prosthetics, this big of makeup, this big of sets. Like, I missed the era when we just had huge sets all the time that just looked like this. It's very possible I just miss movies that were filmed on film reel and not these digital stuff. I don't know. It's very strange, but I just love the way this stuff looks. Now, there's certain story beats that are dumb, and certain characters that are dumb, and actors that clearly shouldn't be in here. But hey, that's fine, because the stuff I like overshadows the stuff I dislike. And that is just because this is insane. Like, it's insane to want to redo Planet of the Apes, especially like in the 2000s, when we're not really like at the era where we could do this stuff yet. It's very, very weird that a studio would want to do this. But whatever, let's get one of the hottest stars of the time period, Mark Wahlberg, to come in here and do this. A guy who clearly wants to be anywhere else. Do you ever just see an actor and you're just like, this looks like somebody who has no time for nerdy shit? Like, he seems like a guy who'd rather be at a baseball game or fixing a truck somewhere or, beating up a minority or something. This seems like a guy who just hates the idea that he has to do a space movie. I've never seen somebody more uncomfortable to be walking around in my life. He seems like he hates every second of this and doesn't want to be here and is just bored out of his mind. And that sucks. Now, in the last one, we had Heston. Heston led, the first Planet of the Apes movie. And that's a guy that's all charisma. And everyone else around him is operating on different levels of success. The problem with this movie is that the lead has no interest in this, but every other supporting cast member is delivering some incredible work. Sometimes you just forget who's in this. Like Chris Christopherson shows up for 10 minutes, plays an old guy, gets killed. It's crazy. And all of the actors playing the apes God, you just love seeing actors dedicated to like looking like this. We don't do it anymore. We don't have actors who would be like, "You want me to sit down for 10 hours to put on big chimp lips? I'll do it. I'm Tim Roth. I'll deliver one of the best performances you've ever seen." I love this movie. I love the performances in this movie. Like everybody is just they're going for it. And I appreciate that so much. Everything that Tim Roth does is unbelievable. His movements, his voice, his exaggerated attempts of like ego. He is a perfect counterpart to like the classic Dr. Zaius villain, because that's what this is. Like in the original Planet of the Apes, you have this idea about like the subspecies of humans and what is right, what is morally wrong, who is like bigger than somebody or worth more than somebody. You mix that in with like the ideas of theology and religion and science and how like a society maintains itself. And then in the more modern interpretations, you have these ideas of just like, what does it mean to build a society? What does it mean to find your home, find your family, to be accepted, and like the struggles of actually living through war and becoming like an older person on the other side of that. When your whole goal is like to not be perceived as the Messiah, but suddenly you become the Messiah. And in this one, it's just, what if we got a gun and it really just ruins society? I don't know what this is a reaction to, but it's insane. You know, it's just this insane movie where everybody is screaming all the time. The ADR of the ape sound effects, the Wilhelm scream shows up in this. It's just unreal and insane. And a lot of that is just Tim Roth just screaming about being in charge when his dying father, played by Charlton Heston, is like, "Society used to be different, boy. Crack this vase and take the gun to remind us of who we were. Damn them all to hell." And I'm like, yeah, that's just great. That's just great. And then Paul Giamatti is freaking fantastic as like a slave trader. And you're like, okay, we're going to deal with like ideas of slave trading, sort of, until we don't. It's not really about like society either, which that might be like the main criticism you could take away from this. Planet of the Apes is a genre and a franchise that is about something. It's about like shining a light on how humanity treats itself and the things around us. And this movie slightly broaches that topic, but not at all, actually. Like, the most they do is letting Helena Bonham Carter be like, actually, they're pretty smart. Humans have like capabilities and stuff, and they like made my clothes. And maybe like I do own slaves, but I'm also like a good person, I guess. Let's get it out of the way. This is a very key thing we have to talk about in this movie before we get into the plot. That is Helena Bonham Carter, who plays Ari. I'll say it. Maybe no one else will say it. But this is one thing Tim Burton and I can agree on. That is a damn sexy ape. She is the sexiest character in the movie. And that includes like the weird ape that's like doing like an exotic dance for her like senator husband, who's like, ooh, 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 ooh. Like, she's gorgeous. I'm sorry. I like Ari. I think she's a good person. And the entire time she is very clearly horny for Mark Wahlberg. She's like, this guy's different. He showed force and he was like capable, and that's very attractive. And they do like the iconic kiss, but doesn't feel as good. I don't know. I think she's very attractive and is a very sexy ape. I'm just going to lay it out there. We don't have to talk about it anymore. She's a very sexy ape. And I love her haircut because it's just not kept. And she's got like the bohemian thing going on. She's kind of like, oh, and I'm just like, yeah. That also just might be how the apes walk, because they don't stand up straight like they do in like the original series. They're just doing like their ape walks. But I guess we could talk about the plot. I could talk about this franchise all day. Let's talk about the plot. Mark Wahlberg works on the Oberon, which is like a big spaceship. And what they do is just like look at stuff. They Star Trek it for a bit. And then they send chimps out to investigate stuff first. They find like a wormhole, storm cluster, whatever. The chimp goes through it first. Pericles goes through it first. Mark Wahlberg wants to go get his chimp. So he goes through it, and he winds up on the Planet of the Apes. Now, they don't specify that this is Earth or anything. It almost sounds like it's not, because they go through like a wormhole temporal bullshit, but it's probably Earth. Like, it's humans and apes. What else do you want? They have horses, and they look normal. It's fine. And in this reality, it's just more like one big ape city in a huge jungle, and the humans are treated as slaves but they're also like capable of doing other stuff. Like they can talk. In the original movies, they don't talk, or like the initial movie, they don't talk. But in this one, they all talk. They're all like aware of the class system, but they don't do anything about it. And that feels really like lazy Hollywood, where they can't really like talk about the issue, and they're just more like, well, we just want this to be an action franchise, because that's what Planet of the Apes is famous for, being an action franchise. So Mark Wahlberg defends himself. He gets bought by Helena Bonham Carter, and then just like they escape from their captors and are chased by a general in his army. And that's essentially the plot. They want to get to the spaceship. The spaceship is a ruin that crashed there earlier, and then it just turns into like a big battle at the end, and that is the weakest part. I'm with this movie 100%, 90% until we get to the final battle, and it completely, well, see, I keep trying to like say this is like a bad ending. It is, but I'm not against it. I just think it's bad and completely destroys the narrative. But it's like watching like hundreds of extras in ape suits battle other humans in a desert, and I guess that's cool, and it looks interesting, and I don't hate that. It just goes against the tone that we should be keeping, and maybe that's why Burton's not like the right choice to direct this, because he doesn't have like a, philosophical thing to ask, and maybe he should. Maybe that'd be better, but I don't hate it. I really don't hate it. I don't know with this one. There's so much about it I like. The prosthetics are great. The references are great. Everyone is just acting so hard. The city looks incredible. If it wasn't for Mark Wahlberg and like the annoying human characters, we're talking about like a really cool thing. Like all the humans are kind of like lame. Chris Christopherson could have been cool, but we killed him. There's a blonde girl who's jealous that Helena Bonham Carter is like the hornier character. There's a little boy who's just like, I could do it too. And you're like, we don't give a shit what you can do. And they're just all there. They like run through the city. They get into the swamps. They try to find like his ship. It gets crashed. They find it. And then they like run through like a guerrilla soldier encampment to like cross the river because the apes are afraid of water. They manage to do that. They get to the old ruins. They realize that it's the Oberon. They realize that the chips that are from like the Oberon are actually the ones that like started the society. And that's when Pericles returns at the end of the battle to be like, hey, I'm the big chimp now. Yay, everyone's here because of me. I'm their god. I'm like, yeah, you are, man. That's pretty cool. This is one of those movies where the more I talk about it, the more I think about it, it doesn't work. But when I'm sitting there experiencing everything going on the screen, the great prosthetics, the cool camera movements, the cool score from Danny Elfman, it is just so of the time in a thing we don't make anymore, and none of it is not working for me. When I sit back in hindsight and go, yeah, this is a lot. This is kind of stupid. Weird relationship dynamics we're building here. And an actor who doesn't want to be a part of this, it starts to fall apart. But Tim Roth, man. Michael Clark Duncan, are you kidding me? The best like side story is the two gorillas. It's Atar, played by Michael Clark Duncan, and it's Krull, who is played by, I can't remember his name. They're like soldiers that work together, but one got ousted because he protested something the general did, and now he works with Ari, and they just have like this conflict of like, you used to be a good soldier, now look at what I'm reduced to, and look what I'm fighting for now. And I'm like, yes, that's awesome. That should be the movie. Don't give me this shit with like the humans. Give me this. That's what the new ones have really figured out. We want to see the apes. We don't care about the people. What have they done for us lately? Nothing. They destroyed our planet. And there's just like a really lazy attempt of Mark Wahlberg trying to explain, humanity destroyed itself. I don't know what to tell you. We're just really bad at doing everything. Sometimes you think we're going to be okay, but we destroyed the apes in our zoos, and now we destroyed ourselves. We really don't got anything going on. And you're like, yeah, thanks, Mark. Could have told you that to begin with. But nah, the opening's great. The dinner sequence is fantastic when they're talking about, do humans have a soul? I love the scene where the apes doing like a sex dance and the humans run through. That's really funny. That's going to stay with me forever. It's the only scene I actively think about a lot. And it looks great. I can't deny that. It looks great. As much as like the final battle is stupid where we like use the engines of the Oberon to burn a bunch of chimps. It looks cool except for the terrible fire effects, but that's fine. And the final shot where we see like the Abraham Lincoln statue, but it's General Thade. I can't hate that. I don't think it's smart. I don't think it's like brilliant, but I don't hate it. I know what we're doing. We're trying to rip on the old thing of seeing the Statue of Liberty. It's just not that. Why are they driving like normal cars and stuff? That's also because now they're not like in an ape city. They're just in Washington. So that's weird. And that makes no sense. But you know what? As far as a vibe movie goes, for a movie that's 2 hours, it holds me together for about 90 minutes before completely losing itself to some absurdity. And I guess that's okay. It is a time capsule. I think the eras before and after it are better ape stuff. The original stuff it's always going to mean so much to me. And the new stuff is just perfect storytelling. And I cannot wait to see Kingdom. This is just like the weird oddity where it's like, sometimes we just try to reboot stuff and you forget about it, you know? And that's okay. You got to have a few misses before you get it right. And you might need this failure to truly do the franchise better like 10 years on. So that's okay. I'm for this movie. I'm pro this movie. More than anything, I want to buy the action figures from this movie. Every day, I go to this antique store nearby, and they have a bunch of just like old figures for sale. The Paul Giamatti orangutan is there, and I'm just like, do I have an excuse to buy this? Maybe now's the excuse. And they also have like the, what's his name? I don't even remember his name. Taylor? No, Taylor's the other guy. Oh, the Mark Wahlberg character. They have him there too. Is it John? Jonathan something? Whatever. It's a weird movie that's just okay, but I like it a lot because it's just like the weird psychotic sex trip of like an Apes franchise. And that's what I like. You know, I want to see my apes be fucked up sometimes, and that's cool. Ari is attractive. I'm sorry. I'm not going to say she's not. Like, everything she's doing, it's working for me, okay? And I know it worked for Tim Burton because he's like, she's hot. I got to put her in my movies. I can't disagree with Tim on that one. This movie's crazy. This movie is crazy and doesn't fully work, but it's interesting. Maybe don't watch it, or you know what? Do. Watch it. I don't care. There's better ape stuff, but this one is its own timepiece, and that's kind of cool enough to talk about it. And that is where we're going to end things for this episode of Galactic Tales. Now, thank you all for watching this review. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you can check me out on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. And of course, I will catch you in the next one. Remember, apes together strong. Have fun. Stay safe. Good luck. Fucking awesome. Tim Roth. He should have got an Oscar. So it's that good.